will be on hand to display their services and answer questions about the latest trends in home improvement. It's this Saturday at the Circle Square Cultural Center in Ocala. This free event is sponsored by On Top of the World Communities.
All right, 24 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Cormac O'Brien is on the phone. We've had Cormac with us before. He's got a couple of books out there on the streaming video. I'll put a picture of him and his book on there in just a second. I was reading through the book. This one is called Secret Lives of the U.S. Presidents, and I was reading through the book, and it's one of those books where you're going to flip around. You might not read it from the beginning in like chronological order. You might just look for your favorite president, or maybe you look for your least favorite and see what kind of stories he was able to find out about them. And I found FDR. I suppose FDR could arguably be considered one of the presidents that we all loved. And while he did find some dirt on FDR, he also in the section on Franklin Roosevelt, he also had some of the good things, some of the contributions he made to all of us that we all remember. But the fun stuff is, there were mistresses, Robin.
Oh, my.
And not just his, but she had one, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, this is a hot house, the White House.
Wow.
Okay. Cormac O'Brien is on the phone, and let me put his picture on here. Where is this picture on here? Here it is right there. And here he is on the phone. Good morning, Cormac. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. Good morning to you.
You have two totally different looks. I didn't know which picture to use, so I used the one from your Facebook page where you've got the balloon animals.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't look anything like the picture you have on the Amazon page. It's like a completely different guy.
I know. It's my doppelganger. There are two of us. One of them, the one with the mustache, is the most recent. I went ahead and did a foolish thing and grew a mustache, and the thing with growing a mustache is that there's no going back. So I'm stuck with it.
Oh my gosh! You have a funny way of writing, but you're also, I believe, you're sticking true. Like, for example, the example I gave on FDR. I mean, you're doing a really good job of giving kind of an overview, a short, history, I guess, for somebody who doesn't know the accomplishments of each of these presidents. And in fact, we even have Trump. Was this book once out before, but without the Trump chapter?
Yes, it came out in the early aughts. I think it was 2004. I'm not sure about that. And then we've updated it twice. So this one, we only can give a taste of the Trump presidency, obviously.
Right.
And so much, this presidency moves at the speed of light. So much has happened since I stopped writing the chapter weeks and weeks ago that, it's even less of a taste than what's going on. But that's just the reality of publishing. But, this is the latest iteration, and it's a more complete, there's some earlier chapters are updated, more complete Obama chapter, etc.
The sexual part of some of the stories, not all of it, but the sexual part is almost a surprise with some and not really a surprise with others. It's like, well, we sort of expected that from this particular president and others.
Right.
Who was the one who had the wife that had epilepsy? Like, he was really true to her. Who was that?
William McKinley.
McKinley, okay, yeah.
And that's a really neat story. They're devoted husband and wife, and she had epilepsy. Some called it the sleeping sickness back then. This is around 1900, and he had the habit of whenever she had a spasm in public, because they were obviously in public, even before they were the first couple, they were out, out and about, and he would drape a handkerchief over her head when she had a moment. And people thought it was insulting, as if he was hiding her, but the darkness calmed her down, and it was a go-to thing that they had. And he would go about his business as if nothing was happening. There was no shame or any public-mindedness about that sort of thing. In fact, the first time they appeared as a first couple after his election, she had a moment, sort of like as they're walking out, greeting Washington society, and he had to take her back in back behind the doors until she was better.
Well, how do you find some of the things that seems like they were it was very, very much a part of the policy, I guess, of the Secret Service and of the president and his wife to keep certain things from the public. So how did you find them out?
Well, historians have. It's all out there in a lot of excellent works. You have to dig and corroborate and that sort of thing. But a story. I mean, very little of these men's lives hasn't been turned over in some way, shape, or form in major works and smaller works and that kind of thing. And it's out there, but it gets lost, especially because whether it's the way history is taught, because it's all dates and names, which intimidates a lot of people, and even history buffs. It's the way we read history, and we're looking at the arguments over Supreme Court picks or treaties or public policy and that kind of thing.
Were you
so I wanted to humanize and remind everybody that these are ordinary humans with foibles.
Did you have were any of the presidents hard to find something, and were you always looking for something that was funny or curious or offbeat?
Yeah. Anything that was weird or I mean it's very subjective, and some stuff didn't. Like I remember researching a story about Jimmy Carter. It's been circulating for years that he was attacked once by a rabbit. I don't know if you've heard this.
I didn't hear that one.
No.
Like there was this homicidal rabbit that tried to get at the president, and the story is really much more mundane, although it's a little funny. And as the president himself tells it, he. This was going to be in the book. This was going to be one of the stories, and I'm like, and to find out, it's just what happened was, he would retire when he had a moment. He was often in Georgia. He would go to Georgia to relax and that sort of thing. Although there's an interesting story about that too. Remind me when I'm done with this one. But he would go fishing, and he was out fishing with some buddies. They're in the boat. They're on a small lake or a large pond. Call it what you will, and one of his friends is getting it on film, and they're sitting there, and then their attention is drawn to this activity in the water to one side of the boat, and sure enough, there's this white rabbit swimming.
Oh, no.
And it's swimming towards the boat, and you can see it on a bit of film. It's swimming towards the boat because it wants to get out of the water. And it turns out, and as the president explains, because he's an outdoorsman and he's always walking and he knows a lot about his backcountry, and he explains it turns out that like cats, rabbits are actually very good swimmers. It's just that they don't like the water. But if they're in it, they can handle themselves well. But they have to get out as soon as they're in it. So he was just trying to get towards the boat. So Carter just sticks his hand into the water and shoos it away, and the bunny turns away like a boat that's turned to starboard and goes to the shore, and that's the whole story. And a reporter had seen the footage and picked up on it and blew it out of proportion. And somebody else picked up on it. Yeah.
Oh wow. So yeah, you have another story about Carter. You want to say about going down to Georgia?
Well, whenever he would go back, he and his family would go back to Plains, Georgia. The interesting thing is that he insisted on being alone with family, so he only had a couple of Secret Service, a tiny Secret Service detail with him in the house. The Secret Service themselves, including the guy with the football, with the nuclear codes, was stationed like an hour away in another town. And so I've often wondered since finding that out, it's a terrible situation, really. Carter certainly never anticipated having to use the codes, but nevertheless, it's a little disturbing that the guy wasn't right there with him on those occasions.
Oh my gosh. The book is filled with all kinds of interesting things. I have a copy of it if you want the one I have. Call me and I'll leave it for you here at the front desk. The rest of us will have to go buy it. I did find it online. You're getting really good reviews. And let's see, I found that on Amazon. That's where I got your picture from. But I got your picture from your Facebook page. I did.
Right. It's at Barnes & Noble and BNN.com and pretty much all over the place.
All right. Gosh, I wish we had more time to talk. Thank you, Cormac O'Brien. Thank you for being on the air with us, and good luck. Come back with whatever you're doing next.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
All right, we will be right back.
Welcome to the 4th Annual Habitat Strawberry Festival on March 4th, 2017 at the McPherson Government Complex. The festival's goal is not only to have vendors, food, a car show, a kids zone, live entertainment featuring one flight up, a lip sync competition, police versus fire department pie eating contest, and all things strawberry. But to also raise funds to build a habitat home for a family in our community. Check out the website, habitatocala.org, and follow the link. The Habitat for Humanity Strawberry Festival is March 4th with breakfast served at 7:30. Free parking, free admission.
The web